Say one of these fascist or communist things or fuck off.
Disco Inferno.
I've been hearing about this game, Disco Elysium, for a while now. I'm a pretty big fan of RPGs like Planescape Torment, but I just haven't been in the mood. Until now. I recently snagged it on a 60% off sale, and I gotta say, Jesus Christ, that was a good game. The kind where you just kind of stare off into space for a minute after beating it. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is easily one of the best, if not the best, CRPG out there. It's definitely a niche interest, but it knocked that niche out of the fucking park. I knew nothing about it when I started, and I think that's the best way to enjoy it. Blind. If you were on the fence, I'd say go play it and come back. If you don't care, you can stick around, and I'll keep spoilers in their own sections. In Disco Elysium, you wake up on the floor with a splitting headache and no memory of the person you once were. All that's left is a horrible dread in your gut at the mention of an X something. Whatever, you can drown that in booze and snort some meth to stay functional. They say you're a cop here to investigate a recent murder, so I guess that's what you're gonna do. Whether you can still function as an officer of the law is up to you. As you stumble around and try to get your bearings, everything seems familiar, but also completely alien. Where are we? It sounds pretty French, but France doesn't seem to exist in this setting. When are we? The architecture looks like it's from the 80s. The cars have this like Victor Antonov kind of Victorian futurism look to them. Your partner's gun is a muzzleloader, but they also have fully automatics and high-tech impact distributing plate armor. Human history and culture have progressed similarly to real life, but all the brushstrokes are different. There were monarchies, colonialism, decadent monarchies that spawned a communist uprising, a post-revolution anti-communist period, and now free market capitalism. It's not just a fantasy setting where we say, what if X happened, how would society react and develop? It's a perfectly believable alternative to human history. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about the game. Visually, this game is a treat. I think the 3D art is trying to look like a painting, and it's pretty successful on that front. There's basically zero visual clarity here, but you have a button for highlighting important things, so I don't mind. The character models and animations can look a little primitive sometimes, but your eyes are going to be over here for most of the time, so it's fine. While your eyes are over here, you'll notice that the 2D art is excellent. These portraits communicate a lot of subtle emotions, especially the skill icons. I think the best example is in Behold. The expression. It's that sense of pain behind the smile, like Hide the Pain Herald. That's fucking hard to do, man. Of course, the voice acting is doing a lot of the heavy lifting emotionally, and it is phenomenal. Nobody sounds out of place, no matter how insignificant they are as a character.
Absolutely not. Fuck you for even implying it.
And of course, this narrator is just fucking perfect.
Ace is high.
You could add an aces low to it, if you like, by turning your back after the high and waiting for another. The high arrives with a sharp slap. As you turn around, there is a moment of doubt. Feels like that low ain't gonna connect. Chill, it's gonna connect. But then it does, and with furious precision. The lieutenant is not one to leave an aces low hanging.
The soundtrack is... I don't know anything about music, so I can't say anything intelligent about it. All I can say is that it gives me like emotions, you know? The tracks are pretty long and ambient, so I'm not going to play any for you right now, but this video will be littered with them. Unfortunately, there's also this annoying audio stuttering that happens in some outdoor areas, so sometimes that amazing ambient mood they've created gets thrown directly into the garbage. One thing you should know about this game, there is no combat at all. All you do is talk to people. I don't mean that in a bad way, I say that in awe of the massive balls it takes to do that. With no combat system to fall back on, the game has to rely on its writing to carry the experience. Obviously that writing is good or else we wouldn't be here, but it does invite the question.
Where's the fighting?
A good portion of the gameplay is in the detective shit, which we'll get to in the light spoiler section, but what really carries this game for me is the skill system. Like a lot of RPGs, you've got primary attributes and their derived skills. These skills don't represent specific fields of expertise like speechcraft, but more abstract concepts like rhetoric, empathy, suggestion, or drama. They're kind of hard to explain with words, but they make sense when you're actually playing.
Now is a good time to say fuck and ass and so on. That'll make this all right.
Rather than just using them for skill checks and calling it a day, Disco Elysium's skills participate in your inner monologue, chiming in to give advice or present information, each with their own personality. The higher the skill, the more you'll hear from them, and the more useful their information will be. For all I care, this is the game's defining feature. The murder mystery is good, but this inner monologue is what makes it so engaging. It's good for a lot of reasons. Let me try to explain. First, this shit is hilarious. The little remarks from all these one-dimensional characters can turn an otherwise boring conversation into an interesting little round table.
He was a stupid kid, only interested in horses, hairstyles, and man-loving.
Whoa, man-loving? Is that even a word? It is not.
The system is an excellent way to give the player information. Let's say you're making a game, and you have a character who's lying. How do you let the player know? You could just have the narrator say he might be lying, but that's a little bit too direct. You could work in subtle tells into the actor's performance for the player to catch on to, but how do they know what's a tell and what's just the actor being on fucking drugs? Disco Elysium gives this information through the perspective of your skills. If someone's lying, your logic might realize that what they're saying doesn't really add up, or your empathy notices that they're avoiding eye contact out of shame, or your composure notices that they're acting nervous and fidgety. You're not expected to read into subtle cues that may or may not be nothing. If you want your character to pick up on those cues, just invest into the appropriate skill.
So, the body is still in the tree.
This is the first time you detect a weariness in the lieutenant's voice. It is obvious he would have preferred for the body to no longer be in the tree,
where it has been hanging for 7 days straight.
This also serves as an interesting way to get information and make decisions from your body. If someone in real life gets in your face and yells at you, you might get a little upset, but you're not going to have that kind of reaction in a video game. Instead, that's Half-Light's job.
Help! He's got the Kuno! Help! Help! He's digging his dick out! Pigs in eating Kuno! Somebody, please!
Look at his shit-eating grin. He knows there's nothing you can do to him. He's bullying you, and you are helpless. Kill him. Kill him now. He won't see death coming. Thump. The blow connects surprisingly well, leaving your knuckles tingling. Kuno feels it. This was no light tap.
What?
I just gotta say real quick, the skill for your strength is called Physical Instrument. It's not just strength, because your body is a physical instrument of masculine perfection, which fits perfectly because the skill doesn't just represent your strength, it also represents your masculinity and the ego and pride associated with it. When I play RPGs, I usually make decisions based on how the characters will react. If I like a person or faction, I'll work towards their interests, which sometimes requires some self-sacrifice or hardship. Since Disco Elysium's skills are essentially just a bunch of characters living inside your head, it means you can also work towards your skills' interests and pursue destructive or selfish behavior that you wouldn't normally do. I don't really use drugs in video games, for example, since they're just annoying to manage, and yet in Disco Elysium, I put points into electrochemistry and inhaled every drug in a 3-mile radius specifically because the skill dialogue for it was just so fucking funny to me.
You can barely hear him. The sweet smell of pickles in harmony with garlic butter and marinated onions emanating from the sandwich is driving your mind in a singular direction. It must be yours.
Fuck off! It's mine!
One thing I really like is that they help you choose dialogue and sometimes add new options into the mix without just having a check pop up as an I win button. They don't always give good advice, but they're so one-dimensional that you can usually guess what'll happen. Like if you listen to Half-Light, you'll probably do something irrational, like threatening an old man because he doesn't want to explain the rules of pétanque in excruciating detail. Sometimes an idea will inexplicably pop up in your head, which you can stew over in the back of your mind to internalize. It's a great way to incorporate the choices you make into your character. Each one comes with some genuinely funny flavor text, complete with a narration for the ones you finish.
Infantile, cliche and gonorrhea-ridden peon to conformism. I fucked me.
Co-op cock torture.
As you may expect from a game with a million fucking words, the writing gives a lot to talk about. I'm gonna break it up into 3 sections. Non-spoiler, minor spoilers regarding the investigation, and major spoilers from the end of the game. Even in the spoiler sections, I'm gonna be light on details. I'm not here to prove that it works, I'm here to talk about why it works. The writing style is doing... Why does the script say is a doing? The writing style is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. The writing style is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. They've clearly put a lot of effort in to keep you engaged in the moment-to-moment stuff, so you're not just drowning in words. It's not always successful. I did find myself kind of skipping through most of the Shivers passives, but overall it did a good job holding my attention. That might sound like a backhanded compliment, but I am a scatterbrained motherfucker. The style strikes a good balance between being humorous and being genuinely dramatic. It can transition seamlessly between describing the decomposition of a week-old corpse into what's probably my favorite joke in the game.
So, what do you think? I agree.
There are crow's feet in his eyes. He's laughing silently.
Totally dead. Dabadoob-doob dead.
Kim fucking Kitsuragi. The best boy. There is no way I could make this video and not talk about Kim.
Okay, let's go to the fucking island.
Kim is your partner throughout the investigation. He's one of the best officers from his precinct, sent as part of some inter-precinct pissing match. Whether your precinct sent you in as a joke, an alcoholic fuck-up who showed up a week late in piss-stained disco clothes, is up to you. He is a complete straight edge, which sets him up as the perfect foil for your drunk ass. But that doesn't mean he's boring. He's just reserved and would really prefer to keep it professional. You get to see bits and pieces of his personality slip through the cracks as the game goes on.
The lieutenant gives a smile only you can see.
And of course, I'd be loath to not mention the dance club.
Code 31, Code 31, officer in need of assistance, officer in need of assistance.
On the dance floor!
You'd have to play the whole game to really get to know him, but after all we've been through together, there is nobody I'd rather have at my side when shit hits the fan. A defining, let's call it feature, of this game is the ability to side with several political viewpoints.
His theories about economic history greatly influence.
The lieutenant raises a brow.
Thank you for sharing this wonderful opinion on human sexuality.
Including communism, fascism, centrism, neoliberalism, and 2 different flavors of racism. This is where some people get filtered. The writers here actually understand all the ideologies, and it uses that understanding to deliver subtle but insightful criticism of whatever you align yourself with. It doesn't make fun of you for picking the wrong side, it enthusiastically agrees with you, and the criticism comes from what'll happen when you get your way. Like the ultra-liberal quest is all about how rich people exist on a whole other plane, basically just playing games with their pretend money while the poors all squabble and filth, like that gold cube in Central Park. It's a lot more nuanced than I'm making it out to be, but it takes like an entire playthrough to understand what the game's really saying about a given ideology, and we do not have that kind of time.
You're not an ultra-liberal, Harry. Get the fuck out of here. Don't be a retard.
I'm going to talk about the detective gameplay now, which will include light spoilers regarding the investigation, but you'll still be safe from the heavy spoilers. This is a detective game, so the plot kinda has to end in you solving the case. The key is maintaining the illusion that you're the one solving the case, rather than the game just leading you by the hand, which is exactly how I felt when I was playing. The case is designed with a metric fuckload of little clues and various leads to follow up. When you start putting the pieces together, you realize that everything doesn't quite add up. Like the Hardy Boys say they took him out back and hung him in retaliation for something. But if you look at the boot prints, one of them came from a 200 kilogram imprint. So they carried him? That doesn't really make sense. Lynching victims are usually forced to walk to their gallows. Maybe he was unconscious at the time? But the body doesn't have any injuries from a scuffle, not even a bruise from getting knocked over the head. His body is covered in bruises, but only because this little shit has been throwing rocks at it. The whole case is just stuff like that. It's a great way to keep the story motivated by the player's curiosity, rather than railroading the player and not letting them leave until they've found all the clues. Now we're going to talk about the story, and I can't shield you from spoilers anymore. If you're still here, I'm assuming you've already either played the game or you just like listening to me talk. I mean, fuck, you've made it this far, haven't you? You start the game as an amnesiac, but it's not just a self-insert. You're playing a character, with a name and everything. Lieutenant W. Frater Harrier Dubois. Or just Harry.
Well, just Harry.
Don't be a retard.
It's pretty clear from the start that his substance abuse comes from heartbreak, and over the course of the game you develop a picture of the man Harry used to be. A major theme is what you choose to do with your life, and how you reconstruct your identity and sense of self after trying to drown it in alcohol. As Planescape Torment put it,
what can change the nature of a man?
Did ruining your life make you a different person? Does sobering up help? Does solving the case help? It won't bring her back. Nothing will bring her back. At the end of the game, you get a half dream, half flashback scene, and it really hit me. From this one moment, I understood everything. You see her as Dolores Day because she's not just a girl to you, she's the messianic embodiment of human perfection. She was perfect, your relationship was perfect, and now it's over. Your behavior pushed her away. But that's not me. I can change, I promise. You want to do whatever you can to fix it, to get her back. But there's nothing you can do. It's over. It was perfect and you fucked it all up. Oh, time heals all wounds. No, it fucking doesn't. Time isn't making this any better. She's moved on and you haven't. Why can't you move on? How can she move on? Why does she get to move on after what she did to you? You relied on her for validity, the counter-argument to your thesis of being entirely unlovable, and now there's nothing to stop those theories from becoming fact. Except, of course, alcohol, drugs, whatever it takes to feel something. Anything that isn't the sheer sense of dread in the pit of your stomach. That feeling you get when you're reminded of her, or when you find out that she's found someone else and she's happier with him. Fuck, I'm crying. No, I'm not. I'm reading from a script. I had to edit this. At this point, any emotion exhibited is just performative. It's just, this game really captures that helplessness, dread, and self-hatred you get when you feel like you let a relationship slip through your fingers. That emotional punch to the gut comes right as you're wrapping up the case. Your ballistic analysis, yeah, turns out the guy was actually shot then hanged, leads to a decommissioned communist fortification. You find the killer, and it's just a sad, broken old man. He witnessed the coalition strike to take Revachol back from the communist revolutionaries, and the sheer terror and inhumanity of the event left him bitter and disillusioned. He despises himself for abandoning his post, and now resents society for even being able to move on after something like that. But there's nothing he can do. Nothing will bring the revolution back. So that was What? You want to know why he did it? You want the full picture? Guess you gotta play the game.
Get fucked.
For real though, I skipped over a lot of reveals because they don't really mean anything without a playthrough's worth of context, which I can't provide. Okay, now it's conclusion time. Disco Elysium is easily my favorite RPG, and may even be one of my favorite games, period. Its setting and characters are fresh and interesting, and the skill system made it a joy to play through. It's rare for a non-Avalon game to resonate with me this much. I'm gonna keep a close eye on this studio from now on. They clearly know exactly what the fuck they're doing. Thank you for watching. I kinda had to make this video as fast as humanly possible because I was trying to get as much work done as I could before Elden Ring came out. I started editing this video today and I finished it just now. I also started on a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance video, but I realized today that all of my footage is corrupted, so it's not a long game. I could just go replay it, but do I want to? I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it, especially because Elden Ring comes out tomorrow. Oh, Elden Ring. This video was going to be a lot longer, but I just couldn't, I'm not good enough at writing to really capture the nuance of all the political stuff or the relationship stuff. I'm happy with the video because I said what I wanted to about the skill system, but yeah, I did a lot of writing about the political stuff, and I was like, yeah, I can't really use any of this. If you like this video, please just, like it, say something nice in the comments. That always puts a smile on my face. And if you want to see more of these videos, then you can, subscribe. Or if you really want to see more of these videos, you can join my Patreon. I just finished college and do not yet have a real job, so these videos will slow down the instant I have one.